It's all on the line. The NFC East Championship crown is up for grabs today at Lincoln Financial Field in Philly. A Dallas win will punch their ticket to the playoffs, but it won't be easy. Because these two classic rivals always go head-to-head in a thrilling way.
Deep middle, Witten lost his helmet, keeps running without a hat. Owens, touchdown. Oh, he flaps his wings like a big eagle bird in the end zone. Deep fade, Austin. Miles and miles and miles to go. Austin, touchdown.
Big hole, hurdle, outside the 20, loses his balance, but he gets inside the 10 for a first and goal.
Since they were both drafted in 2016, Carson Wentz and Dak Prescott have been instant rivals. And today, the winner takes all. The Cowboys are coming off a strong win over the Rams. But will the momentum continue? Let's get it started right here, right now, on Pregame Live.
The Dallas Cowboys pregame show, live from the Star in Frisco, is brought to you by AT&T. Academy, the official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full access to coaches' film and game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.
It is Week 16 here in the NFL. You're looking at a beautiful December day here at the Star in Frisco. Fans filed in, ready for pregame live and for Cowboys-Eagles kickoff in just a few moments. Well, after an hour. Barry Church, Lindsey Draper here. Gorgeous day. And really, Barry, this game needs no introduction. We've seriously been talking about it since the beginning of the season.
I mean, you're right about that. We've been talking about it since the beginning, since they demolished them in Week 7. I mean, it all comes down to this. You're going against the Philadelphia Eagles at the Link. They're your rivals. The winner of this gets the NFC crown, punches their ticket to the playoffs. I mean, what more could you ask for? You
couldn't ask for anything more than be on this huge stage today, and we have a great show for you coming. We have Stephen Jones down on the sidelines, as always, Mickey Spagnola, Danny Surek, Nick, Rob, and Dave, all from DallasCowboys.com, will be going live with us momentarily. But before we talk about the big storyline of the week, which is Dak Prescott, we got to give credit where credit is due. The Cowboys have 4 Pro Bowlers in this one, Barry, a combined 18 Pro Bowls among these 4 guys.
18. I mean, that's huge, but all these guys are well deserving of it. I mean, Frederick coming back from what he had last year. You got Tyron Smith, who's basically the Mr. Consistent at that left tackle position. Then you got Zach Martin, probably the best guard in football, and Ezekiel Elliott, the guy who a lot of people were saying is having a down year, but he's still top 5 in the NFL in rushing. And I will say this, I think there was one snub on this Pro Bowl list, and I think it was La'el Collins. I feel like he's been playing at an extremely high level, the best of his young career, and I feel like he was playing the best out of all these offensive linemen, but hey, who knows? I mean, none of these guys might be playing in the Pro Bowl because they might be in the Super Bowl. Who knows?
There you go. Barry said it right there. If anybody would love to fly under the radar, it would be La'el Collins. Now let's get to the storyline of the week. Dak Prescott, his injured shoulder. It is an AC joint. Now, Barry, I know there were rumors that he was throwing on Friday, and I think that depends on your definition of throwing. Maybe tossing around with some bystanders and then kind of laying low, I hear, during practice again. How worried are you at this point about today's game with Dak Prescott?
As far as the game goes, I wouldn't say I'm extremely that worried because they have a great running game to complement him. But as far as Dak Prescott's throwing ability, I am slightly worried about this. I feel like it'll affect him on those deep dig passes that he loves to throw to his receivers, or those deep outgoing, deep 9 balls or go balls that he usually throws to Cooper or Gallup on the outside. All that short stuff, all the 5-yard throws to hit or to Witten or the screen passes or things of that nature, I think he'll be fine at because they're pumping that medicine into his shoulder, so I think he'll be fine there. But if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm testing him from the jump. I'm putting 10 guys in the box. Yep. I'm making them see how accurate can he be with that shoulder, how deep can he push the ball down the field. I'm testing him, but we'll see how the Eagles play him, how Cowboys play.
That's a great point, Barry, and Dak Prescott agrees with you. He said today is all about playing smart.
I want something between those lines. I don't know, man. It's the competitive flip switches on. I'll be ready to go. I won't necessarily think, oh, right shoulder, left one's good, let me hit him. So I'll just go and play. I'll be okay.
You expect the Eagles to come after you and kind of test you a little bit with pressures and things just to see how you're doing?
I don't know if that's going to be their. I mean, I think they might do that regardless. So I don't think just because of a shoulder they're going to try to do it more. But I hope they do.
How much do you love this type of game? Just so much on the line for both sides, winning you're in.
It's what it's about. This is what you play this game for. When I was a little boy and dreamed about being a quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, these are the situations you thought about being in. And excited for this moment, this opportunity for our team.
Thank you. Jason's message: every day is the same. Treat it. Have a great Wednesday. The right one for moments like this.
Because that's exactly what you have to do. Don't allow this week to be bigger than your normal preparation. Do exactly what you have to do to get yourself ready for the game. Don't put too much on yourself, put too much pressure on yourself. Be the person that you are, that prepares each and every day, and make sure you go out there and execute the same as you would any other Sunday, because that's what we need.
What's unique about your rival, the Cowboys rivalry with the Eagles that you've experienced in the 6 or 8 times you played them?
Yeah, I don't think either team cares for one another. Simple as that, from on the field to the fans, especially the fans. So it's a fun, heated rival. We're ready to hold up our end.
What would it mean to you to win another division title? Start quarterback here?
It'd be great. I mean, it's the plan. It's the plan when I first became the starter of this team. It was my plan is to win in the division and to win beyond that. So it's got to start here.
Well, Dak Prescott told us, Barry, this week in the locker room, being at Mississippi State and playing in the SEC and running as much as he did, he has a lot of experience with this particular injury. And this is something where an AC joint, just from my understanding, it just takes time to heal. It's nothing amazingly serious or crazy like that. It hurts, and it's going to take time, and it might nag him.
Yeah, I've never had the experience of having an AC joint, but I've been around a lot of my teammates who had AC joints, and what they're telling me is that it's all about pain tolerance. How much can you take? I mean, there's not really a solution to get that thing healed but rest, and at the time right now, he can't rest because we're in for the NFC East battle right now. But the most thing he can do is rest, and he can't do that right now, so it's all about pain tolerance with him right now. But he's been saying the right things. I mean, all his teammates are looking up to him right now saying, you're the face of this franchise. How are you going to lead us? And he's telling them, look, I'm going out there. I'm injured. I'm battle-tested, but we're going to go out there and give it our best bet. And that's for all the leaders around him. They're going to have to step up as well. And I think this is going to be a great test for Dak Prescott and these Dallas Cowboys.
All you guys behind us, you think Dak's going to be okay today? We all good?
We all good for them? Yeah, we're ready. We're ready.
Thumbs up here at the start. Ready, but Carson Wentz. Let's talk about the other side because it's a great comparison. Always these two quarterbacks from that draft together. They're always going to be compared, but Dak has his number when it comes to playing each other in this division. He's won every time but once.
He's won every single time but once. I mean, he's had the better team in all of these situations. Now, when we're going to this game, is it more pressure under Wentz or under Dak Prescott? If it was earlier in the season, I would have to say Wentz. Just a simple fact that he's had the contract. Nick Foles was there before, and he's got to kind of prove himself. But as we come into this game, Week 16, I'm got to say the pressure has to be on Dak Prescott right now. I mean, Wentz, he kind of already has that built-in excuse. I mean, his team is injury-riddled. He's lost 2 of his 3 top targets. His defense can't stop anybody. The offensive line as a whole has not been blocking great, and his rushing attack is not there for him. So it's pretty much all on his shoulders. But if you vice versa and you go to Dak Prescott, he's playing with a full deck of cards here. His injury to his shoulder will affect him a little bit, but he has the whole crew. He has Cooper. He has Gallup. That offensive line, who I've been critical of, has pretty much stepped it up these past couple weeks. And then he has that guy in the backfield, Zeke Elliott. So I think all the pressure relies on Dak Prescott and how he's going to be able to get this W. Now, look, at the end of the day, if whoever loses this game is going to have a long offseason.
Yep.
So there's a lot of pressure on both sides, but I got to go with Dak Prescott on this one.
And another thing to add to that, one of these guys has been paid.
This is true.
The other hasn't. No, Carson Wentz, I mean, we know he's an absolutely talented guy out there today, but when it comes down to it, you think those injuries that he has to receiver are going to hurt him worse than maybe Dak's own injury to his shoulder?
I believe so, because, I mean, he's going in there with a top wide receiver is a converted quarterback out there, and I don't think that guy's going to be able to consistently beat, the Brian Joneses or the Cheeto Awuzies out there, and all he has left pretty much is those 2 tight ends, Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, and those guys, you can double team them, take them away, and get after this quarterback. So hopefully our defensive line is up for the task, makes them see ghosts out there, and we get this W.
There are a lot of people on their injury report, and now let's check out the Cowboys inactives and see what is going on with just who the Cowboys have. They're able to play today. Now we got a healthy scratch on this list with Tristan Hill as well as Barry Leighton Vander Esch. This is something that no questions asked. They're not taking chances.
Yeah, this is something that you just can't take a risk with that neck. I mean, there's so much after football that you're looking forward to. So when you're getting into this Vander Esch neck situation, this training staff, this coaching staff, they got to make sure everything is healed before they put him on the field. Because, look, they have aspirations to go further than just this week against the Philadelphia Eagles. So they're going to need him for that playoff push. And I'm sure Vander Esch wants to play more than 2 or 3 years in the NFL. He's a great player, and he has a great future ahead of him. So he just has to make sure that neck injury is fully healed before he goes out there and helps his teammates.
That's absolutely right. And the training staff knows this. I know a lot of people are wondering, is he going to come back? Well, we're not really sure at this point, but they are going to take their time. Now, we are going to go out and check in with Nick Eatman and Rob Phillips in Philadelphia for our first update out there, guys.
Thanks so much, Lindsay. Welcome to the link and an early Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody out there. All right, Nick, we've talked about Rain, Dakota Prescott, and that right shoulder all week. What have you seen and heard today about his status, how he's going to look today for the Cowboys?
I mean, we'll see how he looks, but so far in the pregame warm-ups, he's looked pretty good. He's thrown the ball well, and I thought it was a big indication on Friday, Rob, when they said they didn't even put him on the injury report at all. He's not even questionable. So his teammates all week were like, he's playing. Now, my question all along is how effective will he be later in the game? Whatever he's going to be taking for pain, that stuff wears off. He's going to take more hits. Let's see what happens as he continues to go through the game, but I think he'll start out well.
It looked like his normal pregame routine out here. He started about the 10-yard line and was throwing from about the 50 into the end zone at the end. Looked like Dak Prescott to me, and I asked around during the week, do you have to kind of protect him from himself when you ask him how he's doing, because he's had this injury in college, and basically they've said, look, he's honest with us, we trust him, and it looks like he's ready to go.
Yeah, and this is the game of the year. If the Cowboys had any kind of thoughts that maybe he wouldn't be able to finish it, I think they would have probably brought up their third quarterback, Clayton Thorson, who is here, but they would have had to sign him on Saturday. They did not. So I think that's another indication that they think he's going to be good to go.
Dak's active and ready to go. Any surprises with the inactives for Dallas today?
No, I think it was good news for Dallas. When obviously Leighton Vander Esch is still out, but he's actually on the field here doing a little bit of work. Hopefully, if there's playoffs in the future, he can maybe come back for that. But Joe Thomas, Malcolm Smith, C.J. Goodwin, those guys are going to be up, and they're going to need all those guys.
All right, give me a player to watch today with the division on the line, Nick.
It's a road game, right?
Road game.
All right, Amari Cooper?
Sure.
We need to play well on the road. Sorry. I know it's nice to play at the AT&T Stadium and home and all that, but the road game, they need you to step up. It's unbelievable how different night and day it is between home and away for Amari Cooper. They need him to play big today in this game. The Eagles are an opponent he has done well against before, so he needs to do that again today.
Give me Tank Lawrence on the defensive side of the ball. Lane Johnson inactive, the Eagles right tackle. If you look at Lawrence's production this year, the sacks haven't been what they've normally been, but the pressures are there, and they were really happy with the way he and Robert Quinn set edges against the run last week against the Rams. That is critical against Miles Sanders and the Eagles today.
Can the hot boys be hot in the cold?
We'll see.
We'll see.
They need to be.
They need to be for sure.
About 48 degrees, brisk, nice day for football here at the link.
It could be worse.
It could be a lot worse. We've seen it worse this season. Back to Lindsay and the crew.
Thanks, guys. We'll check in with you in a moment later on when you got Stephen Jones joining you. Now I got to remind you all to grab your phones and download the Cowboys mobile app so you can play free to play. All you got to do is take a guess at what's going to happen each quarter with the team. It's a bunch of yardage, numbers, things like that. It's completely free, and you can win cash at the end, and you better be 21 years old to play. Free to play, Cowboys app. There's a lot of great stuff on there, Barry, but this one right now, before we get to Danny Surek, is 100% a playoff game, and if you're not thinking that going in, something's wrong.
You're completely correct on this one. This is the playoffs. It might be week 16, but it might as well be the wild card playoff right now.
Yep.
Both of these teams, we thought coming into this week, this would be it. This would be the matchup that everybody's looking for to get to that NFC East crown and get to the playoffs, but we thought they would have a little bit better records going into this game, but it didn't work out that way. They still have everything ahead of them. I'm looking forward to this game. Hopefully the Cowboys can come out on top.
And let's see what Danny Surek has to say after talking to some players about this playoff push.
It's quite simple for Dallas. Win and you're in. A victory over the Eagles today secures the NFC East champion title and punches their ticket into the playoffs. It would be the first back-to-back NFC East champion title for this franchise in 23 years and the first NFC East back-to-back champion in 15 years since Philly last accomplished that feat. While the players are continuing their same routine as they have throughout the rest of the season, they understand what's at stake.
It's almost like a playoff game, and this week more than ever. This is a playoff game for us this week, and we're very aware of that, and we're looking forward to that opportunity.
It's a championship game. We're playing for the division championship. this Sunday, that's how we're looking at it. And we've played a lot of big games. You can't go in there pressing. You got to go out there and be yourself.
You know, you can't win a Super Bowl without getting into the playoffs. However, you got to punch your ticket to the playoffs. That's how you got to do it, you know. And there are easy ways and there's hard ways, you know. And I think that for us, it doesn't get any easier, you know what I mean, the rest of the year. And so if there's any urgency left out there, there shouldn't be, you know what I mean, because everybody knows how important that is and what the goal is.
A positive behind a game of this magnitude is that the Cowboys are familiar with their division rival. These teams face off twice a year, which should eliminate the element of surprise.
Obviously, divisional teams you see a lot more, and you kind of know how the other side's going to play for the most part. I mean, everyone's got adjustments, but for the most part, we know how they're going to play, and it's really up to us to go out there and execute.
Division games are the most important games of the season. You see those guys twice a year. You know them inside out. They know you inside out. So honestly, it just comes down to who's out there and who's going to go play better and who wants it more.
Guard Xavier Suafilo says it's important not to get caught up in the outside noise, especially before a game like this.
There's a lot of distractions everywhere, you know, every week. It's a results league, you know, and it's based off of that. And I think for me, you know, it's just understanding that, like, you know, make it simple, you know, go day by day in your preparation and just know that, like, this is my job today and this is how I got to help the team win.
Coach Jason Garrett says his message doesn't change to his team this week, even though there's a lot riding on this game. Some optimism for Cowboys fans. Dallas is 7-2 in Philadelphia under Garrett, and the Cowboys are 4-0 against NFC East foes this season, including when they beat the Eagles a few weeks ago in October.
Thanks, Danny. You're giving us some guys out here. I think they heard that. They're a little bit optimistic about the game looking the way it is today. And I think people are thinking after the Cowboys hung 44 on the Rams that they just have all the momentum. Yes, the Eagles have won a couple games, but to me it just feels like this is a surefire Cowboys win today. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all. I'm going to agree with you 100% on that one. I think they have all the weapons in place to go out there and dismantle this Eagles team. We saw it done before when the Eagles were healthier. And this Cowboys team coming in here, yes, the quarterback is a little bit injured, a little bit banged up, but they still have one of the greatest offensive linemen, one of the greatest running backs back there, accompanied by young Pollard. I mean, I think they just have too much offensive power for this Eagles team to withstand it. And on their end of the bargain, I mean, with the Eagles, I just can't see anybody really beating this defense. So I think the Cowboys should have this in hand, but it is a division game, it is a division rivalry, and anything can happen.
You know, Barry, better than anyone about those division games. Anything could happen, and that's why you play them. It's going to be an interesting one, and a person who has seen probably more than, you know, both of us combined, Mickey Spagnuolo. He's joining us from the link for the first time on Pregame Live. Mickey.
Thanks, you guys, and good to be with you here at the link on a beautiful day, sunny, 45 degrees this afternoon in Philadelphia. Now, all week long, the Dallas Cowboys talked about this game against the Eagles being a playoff game, and it essentially is. If they beat the Eagles today, they end up winning the NFC East. And that's a lot of pressure. Now, there's a few guys on this team that did play in pressure-packed games, kind of playoff games, in 2016 in the playoffs, in 2018 in the playoffs. But there's only a few guys on this team that were with the Cowboys in 2011, 2012, and 2013. Those years, the Cowboys went to the final game of the season, and they were playing a winner wins the East type game. The Cowboys ended up losing those games. They lost to the Giants in 2011, 31-14. They lost to the Redskins in 2012, 2018, and they lost to Philadelphia at home 24-22. So they understand what the pressure is going into this game. And this is one of those games where you can't think about the implications. You got to think about doing your job, and that's always Jason Garrett's message. And when I saw Jason Garrett this morning at the hotel, he was smiling, he was trying to stay loose, and when he talked to the players, he was making sure that he was joking with them, stay loose, and handle the pressure of a game like this. I'm Mickey Spagnuolo. Back to you guys on the plaza.
Thank you, Mickey. Love the hat, by the way. Let's talk, Barry, about just the locker room and staying loose. I mean, I think that's a great thing that Dak Prescott does is encourage these guys. He has the confidence, and like you said, they follow his lead. But what I find interesting, and tell me if it was the same when you played, the Eagles will openly talk about Dallas week and the hatred. And then, Zeke this week, do you feel any more hatred, anything added? He's like, no.
Not at all. I think that's just the two different coaching styles. I think that just trickles down in there. I mean, you know, Coach Garrett, I mean, he's been there for a long time. He's an even keel guy. He never gives anything too much or anything too little to the media, to anybody. And I think that just kind of trickles down to his players. They know exactly what to say at the right time. They don't give any bulletin board material. But then on the other hand, with the Eagles, I mean, you got Doug Peterson over there, who week 7 just said, basically, I promise we're going to win this championship. We're going to win this game. And he went out there and got shellacked. So I think Eagles are always ready to say something to kind of get themselves going, get themselves routed in the right direction. And hopefully the Cowboys kind of respond with something. But you're never going to get anything like that from a Coach Garrett coach team.
You usually get it in the form of Ezekiel Elliott truck sticking someone.
I mean, how many times have we seen him just run through Malcolm Jenkins? I mean, he just puts him in the pavement, goes into the end zone for the touchdown. I think that's all the motivation this Dallas Cowboys team needs. They've done it before. They've done it in the past. They've shellacked them there. They just need to go up to the link and do the same thing today.
Thank you for setting me up perfectly to hear from Malcolm Jenkins earlier this week.
Were you guys aware that Dak is hurt?
No.
So he hurt his throwing shoulder. He's not practicing today.
Okay.
Here's what you do with that information.
Nothing. I'm pretty sure he'll play. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself.
Obviously, with so much on the line, everything at stake, do or die for you guys. Is there anything as a leader on this team that needs to be said?
I think the biggest thing is trying to get everybody to understand that this is just a game. At the end of the day, you know, the cameras and the hype, the situation, the context around it makes it a big deal. But when they turn, when the ball snaps, it's still just like in the game. The rules are the same, football's the same. So don't make it any bigger than it is. Obviously, we know what's riding on the game, but when it comes to doing your job and executing and what wins, it's nothing different.
I mean, you've played in a lot of big games for this organization. What do you think the link's going to feel like? What it's going to be like Sunday at 4:25?
It's going to be whatever we make it. You know, if we show up and lay an egg, it'll be the loudest boos we've heard since I've been here. If we show up and play some ball, then I think it'll be rocking.
What does it mean, though, to have the game at home with so much on the line?
I mean, that's good. You can't ask for a better situation. You know, I think, like I said, if we all wrote this story up, early this year, the record might be different, but the result probably be the same. We'd be playing at home with first place, on the line against the Cowboys. So we got everything we asked for.
Well, Malcolm Jenkins is not lying, Barry. They've actually already been booed at home this year.
They have. I mean, the way they've been playing out there these past couple of weeks, granted, they put themselves in this position to still win the NFC East, but the games before that, I mean, Miami game, if they're lucky that game wasn't in Philadelphia, they might not have made it to the locker room after that. I mean, they've struggled a lot this offseason, or this season, but it comes down to this game, like we've said, for the NFC crown.
And nothing would be more frustrating, I think, for the Eagles than having a two-headed monster like Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, just churning out the clock, having these 9-10-minute drives and keeping the ball away from them. Do you think we can see a repeat of what we did last week against the Rams with both of these guys having 100-yard games?
I see them having no problem at all with this Philadelphia defense. Now, granted, this defense is a top 10 when it comes to rushing, but I think those stats kind of lie a little bit. But with this offensive line that we have with the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, I've been critical of them. And this past couple weeks, I don't know if it was the 10-day rest or if whatever it was, but they switched on that light switch and just kind of dismantled that Rams front seven, which I think is better than the Philadelphia Eagles front seven. We got Donald, you got Brockers, all those boys. They were able to impose their will on those guys. There was plays where Zeke or Pollard wouldn't get touched for another 5 or 10 yards down the field. So, I mean, if they can do that same type of formula where they're just feeding these guys, I think we'll have another repeat of what we saw last week with the 263 yards on the ground.
And they're going to probably lean that way with the situation with Dak Prescott's shoulder. I saw an interview this morning with Ezekiel Elliott and Michael Irvin together, and Zeke said, if they have to hand me the ball 40 or 50 times, just feed me. I can handle it.
Just feed him. Just feed the guy. I mean, he has that $90 million contract. He's always been durable throughout the season. He can handle that load. I think they just got to lean on this rushing attack, especially with the injury to Dak Prescott, like you mentioned. And they have the Bulls back there to do it. They have Zeke. They have Tony Pollard. They have the offensive line. Just go out there and impose your will on this Philadelphia Eagles defense, and I think they can do that.
And it seems like Kellen Moore is really starting to understand what all kinds of weapons that he has with these guys. We got to see a little bit of it last week. Here's what he had to say about his offense that he's running and what he plans for this week.
Great question. I don't know. I think he's done a really good job. He's running it really well right now. He's really physical, I think, just running with a really aggressive mindset, and he's doing a really good job for us.
You feel good about your running game based on what you accomplished last weekend?
Yeah, obviously, yeah. We ran the ball well, and every week's a little bit of a different game, and you kind of got to see how it goes, see how the feel of it is, and hopefully put us in a good position.
Talked about Amari's home road splits. I think the Chicago game he got a little bit more.
in a game of this magnitude, how important is it to get him going in Philly?
Yeah, there's always value to getting Amari going. You'd love to at the same time. Kind of I think the beauty of Dak is it goes through progressions. Who's open is who's open, and whoever it is, and certainly you want to get Amari going. He's had a lot of success at different points, and so hopefully we can take advantage of that.
Physically, does he look fine to you? Because he's had a lot of issues he's been battling through.
No, he's been doing a good job. Yeah, I think just watch him out there. He looks good. Looks like Amari, and sometimes the targets don't go that way. Like last week, I ran the ball a ton. He was really good in the run game blocking last week, and that kind of shows you who he is. That he didn't get a ton of targets, and he was still going in there digging out safeties and blocking them, and some good stuff.
Leading us perfectly into Amari Cooper. He's obviously not had his great numbers on the road. I think part of that has to do with the way the Cowboys run the ball on the road, but also he's been injured this year. He's been banged up a little bit. How much will we have to rely on Amari Cooper to make big plays today?
I don't think we'll have to rely on him that much in the passing game, especially with Dak Prescott's shoulder. I think Kellen Moore will do a great job of getting him involved with a lot of quick game or a lot of screens, a lot of now screens to get the ball in his hand early so he can make guys miss and show that explosiveness that he shows at home. But this is one of the things I just can't quite put my finger on. I don't understand why he's not able to do these things that he's able to do at home for the away games. But one of those away games was the Jets. He only played about 13 snaps with that one. So that's one of the games out of the way. And the only other thing I can think of is maybe just like you said, establishing that run game through away games, just to get your offense calmed down, to get your quarterback calmed down. You want to establish that run early and often. And that's the only thing I can really put my finger on of why there's just a big discrepancy between his home stats and his away game stats. But I think they're going to need him a little bit as far as the screen game today. But I think it's going to lean heavily on this rushing game for Philadelphia.
You've heard it from Barry. We are both thinking that Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, that is going to be the way that the Cowboys go today. But let's see what Rob Phillips thinks as far as this offense and what we can expect. Rob?
Thank you so much, Lindsay. Sean Lee and Jason Witten turned back the clock last week against the Rams, and today against the Eagles. With so much at stake, there's no place they'd rather be. This is what Sean Lee and Jason Witten came back for. This kind of game. Late December, NFC East, Philly. The chance to repeat as division champs and make the playoffs, compete for a Super Bowl. Last week's win over the Rams was fitting in a sense. As much disappointment as the Cowboys have experienced this year, 7 losses, 2 separate 3-game losing streaks, avenging last year's playoff loss to LA pushed this year's team to the brink of a division title. And it was their 2 longest tenured players on offense and defense leading the way. Witten swung the momentum in the Cowboys' favor with a circus touchdown catch, and quite possibly his first touchdown spike since his rookie year. After Lee's interception against the Rams, Dak Prescott said it was the most excited he's ever been for a teammate during a football game. It's easy to understand why both men have so much respect in the locker room. Both had a decision to make last year. Did Witten want to jump back into football at 37 after a year away? Did Lee want to play a 10th season after dealing with injuries throughout his career? The answer for both was yes, and not for individual goals. Both men have been captains. They've led their respective sides of the ball. Both have sacrificed playing time. The plan was to get back to this point with a chance to keep playing into January. That opportunity is here tonight. For DallasCowboys.com, I'm Rob Phillips.
All right, thanks, Rob. 2 GOATs, we can easily say, that turned back the clock. And first, we got to talk about Sean Lee. I know that's one of your good buddies, Barry. What is the answer to his secret? It can't be the coffee in the water bottle that we heard about last week on the sideline down there.
He has a lot of secrets as far as this football thing goes. But, it's amazing how he's been able to turn back the clock. This guy, I've been playing with him for 7 years. I've known him since high school. He's been able to do what he's been able to do his rookie year in his 10th season. That's pretty much unheard of. of. This guy is always around the football, interceptions, tackles for losses, and he just doesn't do, his whole impact just isn't on the field. I mean, he's a leader off the field to these guys. All the young guys look up to him. The reason the Jalen Smiths and the Van Der Esch's can play as well as they do is because they have the tutelage of a Sean Lee to pretty much just teach them the ways of the NFL and how to be a pro's pro. And I just don't know anybody that comes to my mind that can represent the Star as well as Lee has over these past 10 years.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. And then when it seems like you have a division game, he's almost just a machine out there. I mean, he knows these teams so well. He makes the tackles before you should even be able to make them.
You're completely right about that. I mean, and that just goes down to the film study he does. I mean, there's been nights in there where I'll leave at 4 o'clock in the afternoon after practice and everything's done, everybody's out of there, and he's like the last one to leave at like 7 o'clock, but the first one to be there in the morning. I mean, the way he breaks down film, it's just amazing, and he's had an unbelievable career because of it.
And the other person that Rob brought up, Jason Witten, well, he has a chance to make history today with the Cowboys. He's just 2 touchdowns away from being the all-time receiving touchdown leader. 1 touchdown would tie him with Des Bryant, of course, and then 2 would break that today. And I think that that's totally written in the game plan for the rest of this year.
I have to agree with you on that one. I mean, if it was any defense in the world that he could break the record on, I think it's this Philadelphia Eagles defense. I mean, their secondary is atrocious, but he owns pretty much every receiving record with the Dallas Cowboys franchise. He's only 2 touchdowns away from breaking, or from 1 touchdown away from tying, and then another one from breaking Des Bryant's record. And I think it's going to happen here today. I mean, if Witten goes out there and he's scoring 2 touchdowns in 1 game, I mean, that means the offense is rolling. That means our team is probably rolling. And that means we're probably going to bring home the W and the NFC East crown. So hat goes off to Witten. Hopefully, Gold Jacket go out there and break this record for all of us.
I mean, we saw Sean Lee do Sean Lee things, but Witten had a great one-handed catch last week of his own.
I mean, that was unbelievable. The way he was able to, like, twist his back around and catch it. Now, I will say this. These gloves nowadays, I mean, you can catch pretty much anything, but I got to give him credit. He was able to turn around, contort his body, catch that one-handed pick, and not only catch it, but take it into the end zone for a touchdown. I mean, it's Gold Jacket Witten for a reason. He's able to do this in his 16th year. I mean, that's pretty much unheard of.
It is, and he's been through so many years with the Cowboys, some very high highs and low lows, and even the ones that are kind of in the middle ground like we are right now, and he's gotten a lot of experience from it.
More important now than ever when you play in these games, those small details, more than just the hype of, winning a division, that's what's going to allow you to be successful.
And with Jason, is Jason a guy that harps on that kind of stuff, where it's not the magnitude of the game, it's about the same stuff?
I think he tries to create an environment where it's as normal as it can be, and create a normal week and to make it about this week and not about any of the other experiences. A lot of guys weren't around for those games, but I certainly think there's something you can draw from playing in those games and critical moments. And I think his biggest thing is what he always says, be your best and regardless of circumstance. And this is one of those moments, and they know us well, we know them well. I mean, they know what we're going to try to do. And so my message has been that. I think the leaders have said that you got to prepare every detail. Don't allow us. And then when they come up, take advantage of them.
How much of your decision to come back was for games like this, even if it's 7-7?
Yeah, but everything. So that's what you come back for. This is what the games you want to play in. When you are going through something like that and you're working and you're thinking about the opportunity to come back, it's for games like this and moments like this. So I'm thrilled to be a part of it, but I also know what it takes, and think about what that's going to feel like 7:30 Sunday night, to win a division, regardless of how you do it, And so for all athletes, I think these games are hard to come by, and to be in week 16 and to play in a game like that, that's what I wanted. That's what I want to sign up for. So trust me, I'm going to do everything I can to come away with the win.
Well, from one GOAT to another, if you've been around us for a while, we called Jeff Heath the GOAT too. Danny Sarek has more.
It's no secret what's at stake for the Cowboys, a win and they're in. Safety Jeff Heath says it was important for the players to continue their normal routines this week, and that was pretty easy under head coach Jason Garrett. Heath has been here 7 years and says every preseason, regular season, and playoff game, Garrett has prepped his team the exact same way. He says it's helpful to be playing a division team in a situation like this, a team they play twice a year and have a pretty good feeling of the cards that will be dealt their way.
I think we just understand what the game's going to be when we play Philly. This is going to be my 7th time playing them in Philadelphia. You kind of just understand what the game's all about. So I guess you can be mentally ready for that. When you get there, you understand what the atmosphere is going to be like, what the field's going to be like. We have a lot of familiarity with the players and the offense, so all that. We all play football to play in these types of games against, a rival in a huge game on the road in December. It's like, this is, if you really love football, you love these types of games. So, I'm really looking forward to it. I think a lot of the guys are too.
After an exciting 3-0 start, the Cowboys' playoff hopes come down to the end of the season. However, Heath says it's not frustrating that the playoffs aren't secured yet.
I think you just understand it's a really long season, and obviously we had some ups and downs this year, but none of that really matters because all our goals are still right in front of us, and nothing great comes easy. The saying everyone always says, and that's true. The tougher it is, kind of when you do accomplish your goals, the better it feels. So, we made it tough on ourselves, obviously, but it's kind of all irrelevant at this point.
Heath will be tasked with defending one of the most dangerous tight ends in the league, Zach Ertz. Ertz has racked up 888 yards this season, the third most among tight ends. However, Dallas held him to just 38 in October. He says he understands it's no easy feat facing Ertz.
Number one is they target him a ton, and he's really Wentz's probably favorite target. And they move him all around the field, and you know that they're going to throw the ball to him a lot. So whenever you're in coverage on him, it's a big down. The ball's probably coming your way. And you just have to understand it's a battle. He's a really good player. He's really crafty. He's going to win sometimes. That's just what it is. All good players win. You just have to keep battling with them and understand that it's a long game, and you never know what play it's going to be that can impact the game. So really just keep fighting. Try to play your technique as well as possible, and it's just understand it's a fight with him.
Philadelphia's offense is banged up, to say the least. The Eagles are so depleted at receiver that they are starting players who have spent most of the season on the practice squad. Entering today's game, Ertz was averaging 9 targets per game, so we can expect that number to increase. Quarterback Carson Wentz trusts Ertz, and since he doesn't really have options out wide, we can expect Ertz to be the go-to receiver.
Thanks, Danny. Appreciate it. And really, Jeff Heath, you've played with him. What is it that the Cowboys love about him so much? They've stuck with him for so many years.
Yeah, I played with Heath for 5 years, and he came in, everybody was just like, he might make it as a practice squad guy, but as soon as he came in, he got one of the greatest interceptions I've ever seen, a diving pick in practice, and he just showed off his athleticism, his ability to track the ball, and his ability to make plays in the deep half of the field. And I think that's what the Cowboys have loved about him since he's been able to be here. He's led this team in interceptions, I believe, the past 2 years, so he's able to get the ball. They love that about him, and he's just pretty much a stickler in that secondary. He's the quarterback of that secondary, and they need him for this defense to be successful.
Danny already let us know about the Zach Ertz numbers. Here's a refresher of just what he's been for Carson Wentz this season. He's going to be huge involved today. They don't have anyone else. They're looking at him to step in and be a receiver. The last game I watched of him, he was so gassed because they were using him everywhere out there. But, Barry, what are the specific keys to absolutely taking Zach Ertz out of the game and really putting a stop to their entire offense?
Now, look, we know this guy. He can be a game wrecker. He can be a defensive just nightmare if you do not do these three things that I think can slow down Zach Ertz. Number one is you have to get your hands on him at the line of scrimmage. He's way too good to go out there and just give him a free release. He can hurt your defense. So both of our safeties have the capabilities of lining up at the line of scrimmage and jamming him, choking him out at the line of scrimmage, forcing Wentz to look off of him early in the down and go to one of those other options. I promise you your defense will have the advantage there. Number two, you have to have great outside leverage with this guy. On most of Marinelli's man-to-man coverages, their outside leverage, you'll have a low hole player in the middle. That's usually your middle linebacker. Now, for this instance, it's Jalen Smith, and for his responsibilities, he's responsible for all shallow in cuts or medium in cuts, helping that guy in outside leverage man-to-man coverage. So you have to stay outside, force him into, funnel him into, feed him into all your help inside. It'll make your job a lot easier. And number three, and probably the most important must with this guy, is you have to be great one-on-one tacklers in the open field. Now look, you've said it, I've said it, this is probably the Philadelphia Eagles' only main threat offensively. So they're gonna have to pump the ball to him left and right. This guy, if he does catch a ball, maybe 1 or 2 balls on him, you have to be able to bring him down immediately. You do not want to let this guy get 5 to 10 yard catches to turn him into 20 to 30 yard gains. He has the capabilities of doing that. So if you're able to get a cast caught on you, bring him down immediately. And I promise, if you do these 3 things, and you not only slow down Zach Ertz, you might shut him out completely.
Guys, guys, I'm just telling you, this Sunday afternoon, Barry just took you to church right there. That is how you stop Zach Ertz. Now let's check in and see what Ertz had to say about Philly and the way they're game planning for what they call Dallas Week.
How long of a memory does everybody have for that matchup? We've heard a lot of guys say, they were embarrassed. It was the worst effort they had this year. You guys just fouled that one away for Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, you can't really dwell on it. I feel like we're two different teams than we were back then. Obviously, I feel like there's a lot of personnel changes probably from our standpoint. From their standpoint, they're a little different. So we just got to go out there and play fast, play fearless, don't worry too much about the outcome of the game, just focus on each play, and just have that one play at a time mindset, because that's all it is. You can't focus on the past, you can't focus on the future, you just got to stay in the moment, and I feel like execute to the best of your ability each and every play, and that's all you can do.
How big is it that this game is at home?
I mean, yeah. I've played home playoff games in the Link, and it's a second-to-none environment to be in. They bring the energy each and every time it's a playoff game, and Sunday is a playoff game essentially. That's how we're looking at it as a football team, and so we know that the fans are going to be there. They're going to be rocking. They're going to be lathered up for that 425 game, ready to roll, just like we are.
They're coming off probably their most complete effort of the entire season, but how much momentum really is there? How much does that even matter week to week?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when you play the NFC East opponents, you can kind of throw the records out. The whole word momentum, I feel like that's kind of thrown out the window too, because everyone knows each other so well. You just got to go out there and play the best of your abilities, execute, focus on the little things each and every snap, and hopefully we'll find a way to win. We got to find a way to win. That's the bottom line. It doesn't matter how they've been playing, how we've been playing. The only thing that matters is Sunday at 425.
There you go, Zach Ertz. You've heard Barry tell you how you have to guard this guy and take him out of the game. But now let's go back out to the link and see who David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com has his eye on for the matchup of the game. Dave?
Thanks, y'all. So here's the deal. The Philadelphia Eagles don't have any wide receivers. Nelson Aguilar was just officially ruled out for this game. You might have heard about the Eagles' injury issues. Deshaun Jackson, not here. Alshon Jeffrey, not here. So who's Carson Wentz looking at in this matchup? It's got to be his running backs. Miles Sanders, the rookie out of Penn State, you've probably heard of him. Boston Scott, another guy. Practice squad running back who is coming up in a big way this season, has 113 receiving yards on the year. Guess what? 108 of them over the last 2 weeks. With nobody else to look at, Wentz is looking at Boston Scott as a de facto receiver. Miles Sanders, the same thing, 42 receptions on the year. What does that mean for the Cowboys? Sean Lee, come on down. You played great last week. Please do it again. Tackling is going to be everything for Sean and Jalen Smith. These guys are going to be catching easy routes, shallow routes, in the backfield, near the backfield. Got to wrap them up, keep those short passes from becoming long gains. If they can do that, I think they will stymie this Philly passing attack that is running out of options at this point. Back to y'all out on the Tostitos Plaza.
Thanks, Dave. Yes, continuing pregame live here at the Plaza at the Star in Frisco. It's a gorgeous day, Barry. At this point, after checking in with everybody out there and talking about this game, seems like if the Cowboys I'm not even going to say it. This is advantage Cowboys. You got to win by 30 today.
You got to. I mean, these guys are down to, like he just said, the practice squad running back, a quarterback who used to play quarterback in college at receiver as their number one option. I mean, the Cowboys, they have to put up points on this team. They got to blow them out. We'll just see what happens.
Advantage Sean Lee and Jalen Smith out there. Let's hear from Sean Lee on just his career experience playing up against the Eagles.
Well, they're talented. You know, the two tight ends are incredibly talented. The backs that they have are talented. And Carson's an unbelievable quarterback who can make plays in so many different ways. And so a lot of speed, a lot of athleticism. And then there's versatility with those guys, whether or not some of the backs are, you know, running routes like receivers and the tight ends can block, but also can run great routes. So it's tough, especially for linebackers.
What's the key to having a performance like you did last week?
Well, I think for me, obviously, it's just continuing, you know, to work every week to improve. There's things that even last week that, hey, I can play this play better. You know, I can continue to improve a certain fundamental. So it's, you know, building momentum week in and week out, and I think I'm doing that, and hopefully I can double back and improve this week.
How do you feel about playing in a game of this magnitude with as much at stake as there is?
We've played in big games, and I think you look at it as another game. You rely on your preparation, and we try to say it's a championship opportunity every week, that you want to be able to have the same preparation week in and week out, so you're prepared for moments like this. And I think you rely on that preparation you've done all year and just go out and play.
Barry already gave you a reminder of what happened back in Week 7. Doug Peterson came out and said, we're going to go down there and we're going to beat Dallas. And honestly, I don't fault him for that, but the Cowboys really, really took that to heart and came out and just played amazing, especially that defense. And then after hearing Dave remind you who's all out of this game, it just seems like this is going to be one that, hey, the defense, maybe you can build on another good game after having a really bad stretch of a few weeks earlier in the season.
Yeah, this was definitely something for them to build upon. I mean, that first go around in Week 7, they had a little bit of bulletin board information for them to field off, to get their momentum going. I mean, they crushed them from the jump. I mean, we need that same type of energy. We need that same type of focus to go against this Eagles team this week go around. I mean, there's not much motivation as far as bulletin board info out there, but this is for the division. I mean, it's your rivalry. It's bragging rights for the rest of the offseason. If you win this, you win a division. You get to punch your ticket to the playoffs. I mean, there's so much on the line right now that we need that 4 turnover performance. We need that defense to be playing like its hair is on fire out there. They were making Carson Wentz run for his life back there in Week 7. He was seeing goals, throwing the ball all over the place. People were fumbling. We need that same type of attitude from this defense to put the doubt in this Philadelphia Eagles mind from the very beginning. We need to shut them out from the very beginning. No momentum going into this game. We just need to go out there and crush them. And I think this Cowboys defense has the capabilities of doing that.
Do you think this one is really about who gets the faster start today?
That's a good question, and I think it does. I think if we go out there like we did in Week 7 with this defense and just go out there hair on fire, start the game off with a turnover, a couple of sacks, or maybe a 3-and-out, I think from there on out the Philadelphia Eagles won't stand a chance in this game. I think we just got to step on their throats from the beginning and show them that they don't deserve to be on the same field as this Cowboys team.
Let's check in now on social media. I've got some Periscope questions for you, Barry, coming in. Now, the first one is, in what way would you personally just go and attack the Eagles defense today?
Personally, me, I would have to attack them. If I'm going to do it through the passing game, it's going to be through screen games. I mean, we've seen Dak Prescott. He's not been throwing the ball much this whole week. He's coming here with an injured shoulder. So I think with a passing attack, you got to attack him screen-wise. You got a lot of guys that can kill defenders in the open field. You got Tony Pollard. You got Cooper. You got Gallup. You got Zeke Elliott. You even got the GOAT Witten out there who can catch a couple screen passes here left and right. So if it was me, I know Philadelphia Eagles, they're going to stack this box to try to force Dak Prescott to beat him with his arm. You got to throw some screens in there and to keep him honest.
Next question. Do you feel better about the kicking situation in just 1 week of having Kai Ford back?
I'm going to tell you what, I feel unbelievably much better with Kai Ford back.
Better.
Even though he kicked the ball out of bounds at the beginning of the game, he was able to come in 3 of 3, and he nailed those field goals all within the money distance, that distance between 40 and 49 yards that our guy, the Maharati, was struggling at. So this guy was able to put points on the board in his very first game with the Cowboys. I think we're in a much better place with him kicking the ball.
Let's see how Nick and Rob are feeling out there at the link, now joined by Stephen Jones, as always, weekly here on Pregame Live, guys.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. We are joined, as always, by Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. And, Stephen, happy holidays to you. But here we go. This is the game, right?
Well, it doesn't get any bigger than this. A great NFC matchup for the East. And, we're fired up about it. I know our team has really prepared well this week. Obviously, it was good to get that win the week before and get everybody's confidence levels where they need to be. And, we just got to go out and execute. Obviously, they're going to be they know what's on the line, too. And I know we're going to get their best shot. It's their home field. It's going to be a big challenge.
Steven, we watched Dak Prescott warm up earlier. He looked like Dak Prescott. Didn't look like there was any issues with his shoulder. How confident are you guys that he can be himself today?
Completely. I think we'll get his very best. Obviously he played a great second half last week and had it, and we just don't have any concerns about it. He feels good about, the plan we put into place for him, and I don't think he'll have any limitations.
I don't think that he threw that many passes this week, and you said you really like the way that the team practiced. Do you feel like some of the other guys maybe kind of sensed that and stepped up to their games a little bit?
Well, I think everybody knows what's at stake, period. And in spite of, what Dak's having to work with in terms of him individually, I think everybody knows what's on the line. And obviously, this is a team that has a lot of confidence in itself. A little disappointed that we are where we are, but at the same time, we control our destiny, and they know, it's in their hands to do something about it. And I think you felt that this week in practice. They want to get this job done, win the East, and we'll have accomplished. Check that first box, and here we go. But it all starts right here in Philly's backyard. We got to get the job done.
Zeke Elliott, when he's in the lineup, you guys are 5-0. I know every year is different, but what is it about the success you guys have had against Philly, and what are you seeing from the running game these last few weeks with Zeke?
Well, I just think it's a matter of sticking with it and executing and not getting ourselves in a bad position where you get down, several scores or a couple scores, and you start to feel pressed. And I think then the players are pressing a little more, and you're getting away from what we do best. And I think if we'll just stick with this run game, we got all the confidence in the world we can run the football, and just got to go in there and execute.
All right. Well, we'd like to see you in an NFC East hat before the night is over.
Well, that'd be great. I know these guys are ready to lay it on the line.
All right. That's Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. We'll throw it back to you guys.
Thanks, guys. We are so close to kickoff, 3:25. First, keys to the game. Let's check in with Danny Sarek in studio. Danny, what's your key to the game?
My key to a Cowboys victory is to stop the run the way they did last week against the Rams when Dallas held LA to just 22 rushing yards. This Phillies offense is dealing with a ton of injuries, especially out wide. Quarterback Carson Wentz is going to have to heavily rely on his tight ends Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. However, Dallas is prepared for those two threats. What they need to focus on is stopping the run and rookie running back Miles Sanders. Sanders rushed for more than 120 yards last week. If the Cowboys can force Wentz to test his hands with these receivers who have spent most of the year on the practice squad, it's more likely the Cowboys will be able to capitalize on mistakes and turnovers. My key to the victory today, stop the run.
Great stuff, Danny. Cannot overlook Miles Sanders. He's done well with the opportunities that he's had. Now hers was stopping the run. Barry, what are you looking at today?
So for my key to the game, it's a simple one. Oh, I'm sorry, I got something in my throat, but I think it's a simple one. You got to make Carson Wentz. You got to just go after him. This defensive line, they have to play like they did in Week 7. With their hair on fire and go after Carson Wentz. You got to make it seem like there's no option out there to go. You got to stop this run, and you got to make him throw the ball all over the field. And I don't think he can do that, especially with this defensive line. If they can play with their hair on fire like they did the first game, I think we'll have 4 turnovers. I think we'll have a win. I think we'll be able to punch off, click it to the playoffs. But this defensive line has to come to play, and they have to show out. I think they have the capabilities of doing that.
Pressures matter. I will say, quarterback pressures could be a huge part of that.
It's huge. They have to get it done. They can't let him be back there and be comfortable. They know all his options are basically the 2 tight ends, Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz. They had those guys over there, but those are his main options, and they got to limit those guys, and they got to get after Carson Wentz as a quarterback. Make them see ghosts out there, guys.
You heard it all. Barry took us to church here on Pregame Live this Sunday afternoon. We are enjoying the beautiful December weather here in Texas. The game will be on at 3:25 p.m. on Fox right here. If you're at the Star or if you're thinking about it, come on out. The game will be playing. It's a great atmosphere. Thank you all for tuning in to Pregame Live. We'll see you immediately after with postgame reaction. Nate Newton will join us.
Oh, big Nate.
We'll see you then.
The Dallas Cowboys pregame show, live from the Star in Frisco, was brought to you by AT&T. SWBC Mortgage, financial solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit SWBC.com. And by the Dallas Cowboys Football Club. Want to tour AT&T Stadium? For more information, call 817-892-TOUR or visit DallasCowboys.com/tours.